the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
I don't think I see it. I think Georgia still has some success in this one. I'm going to say Georgia does cover the spread in a contested game. Like, I'm going to say 34-17. Maybe it's even a one-score game going into the fourth quarter. But I think ultimately Georgia's got too much, I think, for this Florida team to make it too close.
All right, Matt Green, where are we going next?
All right, let's go up to Rocky Top. Not to Rocky Top. We're going up to Kroger Field, sir. Lexington, Kentucky. The Tennessee Volunteers come in. What are they? A 4.5-point favorite at home. So we got 3.5-point dog. Kentucky is at home. How do you see this one going, sir?
So I went back and forth on this. I think this is an inflection point. Obviously, Heupel's not lost to Kentucky yet in his tenure. There's the Stoop question here because obviously he was fired by Mike Stoops' brother, Bob Stoops, many years ago at Oklahoma, and I think there's just always going to be some animosity. This game's always going to be circled on Josh Heupel's calendar while he's the head coach at the University of Tennessee. So I think there's some added ammunition there each and every season on that front. But I think what's interesting about this one, Matt Green, is like teams that play Alabama the week before a big game, like it's never great because Alabama has 5 stars and just it's a physical game. Win or lose against Alabama. Texas A&M dealt with that against Tennessee on the road the following week. To get Tennessee right after Alabama was really tough on A&M, and that was a really tough game for A&M, and you wonder how that game goes if A&M does not play a very physical Alabama team the week prior. My thing is, I'm curious because Tennessee got banged up. Gerald Mincey needs to be healthy at the right tackle spot. We'll see how much he plays in this one. I mean, they're banged up out wide. That matters for Tennessee because what they did 2 years ago on the road at Kentucky, I don't know if you remember, they scored in the first play and a quick screen to Javonte Payton that went for 6, and it was a back-and-forth, high-scoring game. I don't think you're going to see that here. I think you're going to see another low-scoring type affair. I don't think you're going to see where Tennessee blew the doors off Kentucky at home a year ago. I think the situations are really different, but one thing that isn't different is Devin Leary stinks. And Will Levis stunk for Kentucky last year. And I don't know if it's a Kentucky problem. I don't know what to say about it because we've seen good Devin Leary at this point in his college career. We saw it at NC State. It's been a while now. But to barely complete 50% of his passes.
I said I seen it. He was good at some point, and he's just not anymore.
No, I mean, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the SEC this year. So I'm just curious, do the Vols bounce back? Because it's a big game. You still got at Mizzou on the calendar. That's probably going to be a night game that I think Tennessee needs to be doing everything they possibly can to get that at noon because Tennessee has kicked the crap out of people in the SEC, high LSU, when they play on the road at those noon spots. It seems like they get up and just going straight from practice to game, they play better. So I think and they also scored like a bajillion points when they played at noon at Mizzou 2 years ago. So I think you want that one not to be at night. As a Georgia fan, you should know that you don't want to go into Columbia late on the SEC network when it gets a little bit chilly outside because it gets a little close.
It can be dangerous.
It gets a little dangerous. So you hope that's not the case, but you still have them on the schedule. You still got Georgia on the schedule. So you don't want to fall in that 7-5 range. If you drop this one, that's very much on the table. If you take care of business here, then I think you feel pretty good about Mizzou the following week, and you go from there. But I don't know. This is very, very tough. Like Kentucky is the number 2 rush defense in the SEC right now. Tennessee needs to be able to run the ball. They ran all over the number 1 rush defense, or one of the best rush defenses in the sport in Texas A&M when they played them a few weeks back. I mean, the Vols are number 1 in rush defense in yards per carry, so I don't think Ray Davis is going to have a good day against Tennessee. I would be surprised if that's the case. I think Tennessee's going to be really motivated coming off that close loss to Alabama. They think that they let off the hook because they did. They were better in the first half, got trounced in the second half, and blew a big opportunity to get over the hump in back-to-back years over the Tide. I also wonder if that's a new Milton. I wonder if he's going to run the ball a bunch again in this game where he's banged up from taking a lot of big hits in that Alabama game. Does he stay in the pocket more? Because if we see that, then I think this could be a loss for Tennessee. If we see him move around a lot more like we saw last week, I think that's an added dimension that makes 9-3, 10-2 at the very best, more like 9-3, very attainable as if we see that. Also, you're going to see a bunch of penalties. The Vols and Kentucky are the most penalized teams in the SEC this year. Most Heupel coach teams are pretty penalty laden, but Kentucky is right there at the bottom with them. So I don't think you're going to see a lot of explosive plays. I think both offenses are wanting to run the football to make things work. I think they're going to be running in low yards per carry here, but I think Tennessee gets a little bit more here. Give me Tennessee 34, Kentucky 27. So I think Tennessee wins and covers, but I do think it's close throughout.
So these two teams are going to want to run the ball, and they're two of the best teams at defending the run as well, like you said. The thing that I worry about, like which Tennessee team is going to show up. Is it going to be the first half Alabama team or the second half Alabama team? Is it, because to this point, we've seen one Tennessee show up on the road. I guess it's hard to say that because the two teams we saw in the first and second half of Alabama are completely different teams, but they're 5-0 or 4-0 at home this year and 0-2 on the road. And Kroger Field is not Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. It's not Bryant Denny Stadium, but it's still a home field in the SEC, and this is going to be a rowdy environment. And if Tennessee's not able to consistently run the ball on Kentucky, which, I mean, I don't know that they can. I mean, they can. I don't know if they will, because there's something different about going on the road, and we've seen this Tennessee team go on the road multiple times now. And do we worry about a hangover after a loss to Alabama like that? Just kind of because you feel like you did let one slip away, like you should have beaten Alabama. You should have been the one blowing cigar smoke in the air on Saturday night.
I mean,
I think I'm going with the upset. I'm going with the Kentucky Wildcats at home to get the job done. Joe Milton, I never seen him play that well. And so why do I think he's going to play that well again a second week in a row? I don't know. Because let's not forget, Kentucky was winning against Missouri going into the fourth quarter last week. Like Devin Leary, decided to take over the fourth quarter and solidify the Missouri victory. But they gave Missouri, they were the better team for 3 quarters, I thought, in that game. So Missouri is still a good team. That's another team on Tennessee's schedule from this point on. But I don't know. It's something about the home field. Tennessee has not won on the road yet this year. I'm going to go with the Wildcats to get the upset. Give me Tennessee, or give me Kentucky. What's the score I got here? 26-23. Kentucky gets it done.
Wow. I mean,
put it on the board.
We're in some dire straits here if they drop this Kentucky game. I'm telling you, like it's a big thing. Like I think this is a sneaky one because then you're at Mizzou and Georgia. I think you're not going to be favored in either of those games, and then you're in dangerous waters because 7-5 won't cut it. Because 7-5 is firing, 7-5 is some changes. So you gotta. I think this is a big game.
No, 7-5. We're not firing Heupel.
No. I'm not saying Heupel. I'm saying assistance. I'm saying you'll have some movement on stuff.
I don't know. I think.
I
tried to warn Tennessee fans. It's the year 2 bump and the year 3 slump. It's like this happens.
No, you can't be 7-3. No, I mean 7-5. You can't. You cannot.
So what is that? That's 5-3. Let's say they lose. That's 5-3 with who left on the schedule?
At Mizzou and Georgia at home.
So 8-4 is still possible with that, right?
But you won't be favored even if you lose to Kentucky. You won't be favored in 2 more games here. So you're going to need an upset.
That's fair. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I would overreact like that with Tennessee having such a good year in 2022. Like,
it's not really an overreaction. It's just the nature of the beast. Like we're big dollars. We're top 10 recruiting. Like you got to make noise. You can't have that kind of a fall back after what you just had. Because I understand breaking through and
does the recruiting class impact that? If they're the 5th ranked recruiting class in the country and they go 7-5,
it seems like they don't really care as much about that. Like I think when you talk to people on the inside recruiting, I don't think fans would be really surprised to hear how little. It's just not at priority 1. Let's put it that way in terms of win-losses. It's not priority 1 for most kids.
What? No, I'm saying in terms of being like on the hot seat, like.
I mean, it changes.
Like, I think if you see they're recruiting really well, it's like, okay, just be easy. We just had a great season, we're still building the program. Like we're recruiting well, but the guy recruits like our position coaches, that sort of thing. I don't know if one down year would merit firing anything like that. But hey, that's
I'm
just
not saying Heupel. Heupel's got a job for a long time, and
yeah.
he should. and Tim Banks, fine. Like, I just think it's more of like there will be. I think you just have to shake something up. There's just no way you can run it back 7-5 with the same exact staff and the offensive problems.
Well, we'll see. They do have Georgia and Knoxville. You know, it's like even if they lose to Kentucky, it's like that doesn't mean they can't beat Georgia and Knoxville. Crazy things happen in college football. So
you're so full.
They go 8.
I know you're just throwing that out there.
I don't think Georgia's going to lose to Tennessee, but I mean, that was the number one game everyone circled in terms of the most losable game on their schedule preseason, and to this point, I would say it probably still looks like it. So,
okay.
Yeah, so we'll see, but you know, and without
it,
Brock Bowers too, you know, who knows what the Georgia offense looks like without Brock Bowers.
All right. Well, where are we going next, Matt Green?
What was your score on that one? Did you give a score?
Yeah, I said Tennessee 34, and then I think 34-10 Kentucky 27.
Wait, 34-27. All right, put it on the board. Let's keep it moving. College game days, game of the week. Oregon Ducks at the Utah Utes. Utah coming off the big win over USC last week. 5-point dog at home. How do you see this one going, sir?
This is going to be a really fun game. It's a sneaky big one for both teams. I think this is one of those loser leaves the CFP party games, which is good because the Pac-12 is going to have a lot of these down the stretch. I mean, USC losing back-to-back kind of eliminates that for one of these teams. But this is a sneaky, gigantic game for the conference because I think if you're the Pac-12, I mean, it doesn't really matter because it's folding, whatever. But the Pac-12 getting in here, I think you're a little bit nervous if Oregon goes down at Utah because I'm not a believer that Washington's going to run the gauntlet. And you know, this is what we said before the year. Utah is they're going to drop another dumb game, and then they're going to be 10-2, go into the Pac-12 title game, and then beat a undefeated Washington in a close physical game, and then no one from the Pac-12 makes the college football playoff once again, even though they had just powerhouse teams all across the board. That's what it feels like all over again. But Jaquindon Jackson is going to be important in this one. Utah, obviously, running the ball a lot with Cam Rising being out so much this year. His last 3 games, averaging 79 rushing yards per game. He probably needs a big day here at home. Ducks haven't won in Utah, Matt Green, since 2016. Kyle Whittingham protects his house, beating Florida at home to start the year in an upset. Last year, the 2 losses for Utah, both on the road. Utah's a sneaky. You don't think?
Let me add on to your home field advantage stat. How much stat? Do you have more stats on home field? I don't want to steal your thunder if you were going to say this.
Well, no, you can go ahead because I think that's about it in terms of home field specifically.
2020, I throw out. You know, there was no fans, no real home field advantage in 2020. You exclude 2020, Utah has won 28 straight home games. They won 30 of their last 31 if you throw in those 2020 games. But yeah, it's a legit home field advantage.
All that being said, Bo Nix, this is a huge game for him. If you're an Oregon fan, you wish you get this one at home, especially with this year. But that's why winning that Washington game was so important because, I mean, it was going to be tough. Like, that's a tough schedule to have to go to Washington and Utah in the same season when you're as talented as Oregon is. I don't know. Like, Utah, what's interesting to me is they've only scored 30 or more points 3 times. It was against USC, whose defense sucks, Cal, and then Weber State. I don't know what immovable object works here because Oregon, they're averaging 47 a game here. And you know what? If they get anywhere close to 47, Utah's not winning this football game. Like, Utah cannot win this football game. Neither of these teams turn the ball over ever. So you're not going to see some dumb stuff back and forth in this one.